We're live on the platforms. There we go. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean McCool. And we got some guests coming on today because today is...
What is today, Sean?
Episode 300. There you go. We even brought our own fans.
That's right. 300 episodes.
So
believe it.
We've got one guest in the green room already, but I wanted to throw out this statistic real fast, just so the listeners know how good a show this really is, right? And how unique this show really is.
That's right.
So I was doing a little research on podcasts. First of all, how many podcasts? Well, actually, let's bring Bill in for this trip.
All right.
So welcome back to the podcast, Persuasion by the Pint podcast rooms. Bill Mueller, welcome.
Another applause.
It's going to be crazy today.
It's going to be a lot of clapping. A lot of celebration.
Yeah, congrats. First of all, that's pretty amazing.
Yes. Yeah, it's cool. It's good to have you back. You've been on the show, I think, twice before.
Yep.
It's your third appearance. And we're just kind of, for the listeners, we're bringing in a couple guests today. We're going to be talking just about some of the past podcasts, and we'll probably recap for those new listeners how we got started and a little origin story during the show and that kind of stuff. But here's the trivia I brought to the show today, Jonathan.
Okay.
How many podcasts would you say there are in 2023?
Wow.
Not episodes, but actual podcasts.
Actual podcasts.
Shows.
Let's see. Total
Bill,
population is what, around 150?
I think U.S. is 300 million.
300 million. Okay, so I'm going to take...
And that's just the U.S.
I'm going to say 2.5 million podcasts.
Okay. Bill, you got a guess?
Boy,
journalism brain.
Mine was going to be in the tens of thousands. So now is this based on like not just one platform, but anyone with a podcast?
Yes,
that's right.
Correct. Anyone with
that could be anyone that does one podcast episode and decides I don't want to do this anymore.
All right, I'm going to say it's less than a million. I'm going to say 700,000.
Okay, and our buddy Chris O'Hearn says in the comments 1.5 million. And the actual retail number of podcasts is 3 to 4 million.
Wow.
So Jonathan's closest without going over.
I've been doing this a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So 3 to 4 million podcasts. Now here's the crazy thing. According to Amplify and Pod News, 44% of podcasts have less than 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So a lot of people starting them. Not many people hanging in there for 300 episodes.
Oh yeah, trust me, I see this all the time.
Yeah, and only 720,000. So we're down to like what, 1/5, 1/4.
That's right.
Have more than 10 episodes, and only 156,000 out of the 4 million are releasing a weekly episode.
Yep.
So we're in pretty slim company there.
That's right.
So yeah. So congratulations.
That's what I tell everybody. Is one of the keys in podcasting is going to be consistency, doing this on a regular basis. There's no one shot. So,
yeah. And the US or the English language podcasts are still by far outranking everything else. So if you know how to speak Spanish, you should start a podcast because, or Portuguese or Indian, but yeah, like Spanish language podcasts would be a nice little niche right now for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, if you guys had one tip for someone starting a podcast to kind of aim for that sort of consistency, what would it be?
Stack them.
Batch them and stack them.
That's right. Stack them. If you feel like you can't do it every week, stack them back to back and just have them drip out on a regular basis.
Or if we could have, like last week was really long. We could have broken that. We did break it up into 2.
Yeah.
We could have dripped it out over 2 weeks if we wanted to, but we knew we were doing this episode. So we've missed a few weeks here and there, but we've been pretty darn consistent, other than some major travel or something like that. We've been pretty consistent, but yeah.
And there's so many opportunities, Bill, that we're missing out on because
Yeah.
We've put out so much content over the last 4 years, 300 episodes. You can repurpose like little micro bursts on each episode of like, throw those out on Instagram or stuff like that. And we just don't do that. So
yeah, a little bit more of a hobby for us than probably a lot of
Exactly.
podcast hosts.
Right.
So, well, let's talk beverage. I see we have another guest in the house.
All right.
A little early, but we'll bring him in. Oh, he just disappeared.
Oh, I must be coming back.
All right.
Yeah, I told him 3:45. He's probably just testing his equipment. So,
all right. Well, let's go ahead and talk some beverages. Oh, there he is again.
All right.
He doesn't know what he's doing over there. All right, let's go ahead and bring David in. David's been on the show a few times as well. Welcome back to the show, David Dutton.
One and only, thank God.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all stop. I'm blushing. Stop.
David, meet Bill. Bill, meet David.
That's
hey,
right.
David. Good to see you.
Two of our best guests.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
That's
nice. Well, you had me at drinking, So
Yeah.
There's that.
Who choose good beverages. Exactly.
Speaking of beverages, I've got a good one for the show today. And Jonathan, I'm not sure what you got going on, but Bill, I know, brought a themed drink. Who's nice enough to bring us one that has a little bit of a theme to it to match the show. So, Bill, why don't you tell us about what you got going on over there?
Yeah, David, you're going to love this one.
Well, I have a disappointing audible to share. It turns out the beer I was hoping to bring is not available locally. I thought it was.
Oh,
so
I'm out.
I can't find that one.
Little bait and switch. I'm sorry about that.
What was it, by the way? What was it?
Well, it was Tony Gwynn. It's called. It's a beer inspired by the late great Tony Gwynn. It's called 394 Pale Ale, based on his 1994 season of having batted 394 in a strike shortened season. Nobody knows, of course, whether he could have gotten to 400.
Wow.
And it's a San Diego based beer. I'm up in the Seattle area right now. I couldn't find it up here. So bring in a pinch hitter.
We'll have you back for episode 394.
Yeah. There you go. I like that.
Bill, I got a little trivia here. Cause I know your background is in journalism. Our buddy David has had, because you were early sports journalist, right?
Yeah.
So our friend David here has had the great Daryl Strawberry over at his house.
Oh my!
Yeah,
and
that was
pretty cool.
Crazy. Yeah, I wanted to have an event at my house, and Daryl Strawberry speaking, and he didn't know me from Adam, and I'm here in Franklin, Tennessee, and I want to have an event. It looked at it as like a carrot, to draw people to my house.
Sure.
And I, out of persistence, just kept following up, and I paid him not as much as you would think, but it's still a lot of money. But I mean, it's for 2 hours is a lot of money. But when you think Daryl Strawberry, it's like, wow, you got Daryl Strawberry. And I just said, hey, you're already speaking here. Stay one more day, hang out at my house. And one quick story is I don't want to dominate the conversation, but I had to go pick up Daryl Strawberry as part of my contract or whatever. But I wanted to network with my people here. That's why I did the event. So I had my buddy that rents out exotic cars. And I said, Jonathan, another Jonathan Bowman. I said, hey, can you pick up Daryl Strawberry? And he's like, well, yeah, sure. And he said, what do you want to drive? And I'm like, I don't know, just something cool, like maybe a Bentley or a Lamborghini or whatever. So he brought Daryl Strawberry to my house in the Lamborghini. Now I'm thinking it's cool because I don't own one or anything, but Daryl Strawberry had a $20 million contract at one time. Like he's like owned 10 of them or something at some point, maybe, anyway, he gets to my house and there's video of him pulling up in my driveway because GPS didn't pick up my neighborhood at the time. It was a new build. And I never forget him folding out. He didn't even like it. He didn't tell me till afterwards. He didn't like it because he's 6'9". Oh. I didn't even think about it. So he folded out of the Lamborghini. And then I'd never forget. So I'm barefoot. I don't really wear shoes a lot. And he gets out of the car and he kind of eyes me down, like from top to bottom, not in an arrogant way, but like, who the hell is this dude way? And and listen, I didn't have shoes on, but I had a $300 shirt on and jeans. but I just don't like wearing shoes. I wear sandals, probably 355 days a year. And so it almost was like, I mean, he could have been walking into some like KKK meeting or some crazy thing, because he don't come into somebody's house. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, like, that's not a thing. You call Daryl Strawberry and like go in. So he just said, so anyway, we got in the house. He said, what do you want me to talk about? I was like, well, just be Daryl Strawberry. And so he said in my living room, and got to talking, and he told the story. He said, actually, my assistant, which happens to be his niece, kept talking to him about me. And this is all through email. Like, I was emailing her. I didn't get on the phone with her. And he said, I prayed about it, and it just felt like, it would be okay. Again, total stranger going into my house. And so anyway, he ended up preaching really. And I ended up having my video guy there, and he Facebook Lived it. Like, at the time I had a bigger, decent following, like 3,000, it was 3,000 views or whatever. And, for my house or whatever. And, but it was so funny. One side note, and I'm gonna stop, is, I was like, hey, is it okay if we drink? Like, cause, he's had his problems. Now he's been in ministry for 100 years, whatever. And so I didn't want to have like a 30-30 for 30, like at my house. David Dutton gets Daryl Strawberry drunk, and he like, I did not want to have that on my shoulders. And they're like, no, it's fine. So I'm sitting there drinking wine in front of Daryl Strawberry, and he was fine, whatever. But like, I was already kind of buzzing, and I just sit next to him, and he just did his thing. But it was phenomenal. Like, people still talk about it around here. Like, dude, you had Daryl Strawberry in your house. We had like 40 people in my living room and kitchen, and so it was funny.
You were tempting the great Daryl Strawberry.
I know, man. That would have just been terrible.
Stumbling block.
Yeah, he's been dealing with those temptations for years and years, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Bill. Yeah, that's true.
But the first thing I thought of when you mentioned him was how tall he was, and when you mentioned the Lamborghini, I thought of him. Okay, that's
oh, you already thought that? Like, I had no concept.
That's the most immediate feature I think of him, is how tall he was.
He is, yeah. He's pretty.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I try to get him back, but I will say it's a lot more now. Like, COVID kind of like, and this is before COVID happened, but it's kind of like nobody was on the road, and then all of a sudden, boom, everybody's on the road, and it's like, dude, he's in demand, so his fees, like everybody else, was like banging, and I was like, all right, I'm priced out.
Yeah.
It was good. So
I have to hit up some of those Cameo people on the Cameo app.
I know,
for $150.
Yeah,
I know. I'm thinking about trying to get. I mean, I'm talking to different people, and you just never know. Like, I mean, who knows? I don't care if they tell me no. I'll just go find somebody else or whatever. But I try to look for opportunity. Who knows who, and that type of thing. Piggyback off that. So,
well, Dave's already drinking, so we better catch up.
Yeah. So we got to go back, Bill. I'm sorry, we got off course with what your new beer, your replacement beer.
Yeah. So when I couldn't get the 394 Pale Ale, I picked up an organic chocolate stout from Samuel Smith's.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Is it?
I've had that one on.
I'll take your word for it. It's.
I think we gave it a good rating too.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what it is because we don't even know.
Okay. Okay, get started here. Let me.
Yeah, you pour that, and so Jonathan, what do you have?
I've got. I thought about bringing back, since this is a 300, bringing a best of. But like I just told Bill, I don't remember what our scores are, so it's hard to bring back a best of. So I went and got a from Boulevard Brewing Company, a Churro Grande.
Oh wow!
Pull this up. This is a
churro, huh?
Churro.
It's gonna have a little cinnamon in it, I guess.
It's gonna have some brown ale with cinnamon and natural flavors. It's a limited release, 12% ABV. So I've got one in front of me and then one on deck, just in case.
Yeah, kids are drinking water.
I love it. All right. Well, I am having the 2022 Bourbon County Brand 30th Anniversary Reserve Stout. Jonathan actually sent me this for Christmas, and it comes in a crazy fancy box. And these are like limited edition every year. They do this every year. And how they started actually reminds me of how we started the podcast. They were literally just sitting around talking beer and distillery stuff with some some friends and decided, hey, what if we crossed beer and bourbon barrels?
Yeah.
And that was 30 years ago, and they've been doing it every year since.
Yep.
Even though they thought it was going to be a one-time thing. So
Sure.
but yeah, this one is
awesome.
like 14.4%. So we'll
It'll
see.
get you drunk.
It will.
Their margins are pretty good, though, right, Sean?
Yeah, they're doing all right.
One beer, they're doing pretty good off that one beer.
Yeah, for sure. This is like buying a bottle of liqueur, basically.
Exactly. They know how
David,
to
what do you
package
have there? The
All
usual.
right, so my buddy owns a liquor store here, and phenomenal guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so
I love
go
that start. My buddy owns a liquor store here, so it's always a good lead in to a great drink.
And I'm amazed by the advertising. I'll go in because he's like a character. He's got a Tariq Patel here, and he's just a character. It's like the greatest personality, and he has a sampling table. So every time you go in, Tariq's drinking, and there's like 5 people around doing these little sips of stuff, and I just come across stuff, but I walk around the store just because, it's like blood in the water. All the advertising of like everybody's trying to stand out. So like, here's The Godfather, and here's 1819, or here's, whatever. So anyway, I try random stuff. Bill, when I come on here, I usually don't have beer here. I just don't think about it. But like, I'm Malibu rum and pineapple juice. I'm like a big kid that just likes to buzz. Like, that is it. Like, that's what I like. And Targ has introduced me some other rum. But on the sampling table about 2 weeks ago, he showed me this thing. And I don't know. It's a Lebanese alcohol. Don't know anything about it. It's 100 proof. And I've been drinking it straight, but like, I just now start drinking. I've been drinking all day, but like, but
are you okay, Dave?
Yeah, I put it in root beer the other day. It was really good, but it tastes like black licorice, and it's 100%. They got it spot on. Like, if you like black licorice, this is money right here, and it's really good. And so that's what I'm drinking right now, just straight. And I hadn't tested anything else in it, but it does have a good taste to it. A lot of them, man, like, you try stuff and I'm like, that is not French toast. Like, that is not like cinnamon toast crunch beer.
Exactly.
Like, that is not, false advertising, but they hit this one. So that's what I got.
Well, let's cheers it up, gentlemen.
Cheers it up.
Cheers,
everyone.
Cheers.
Bill, I'm curious about yours. I can't wait to hear I want to see what yours is like.
Yeah, I like it so far.
I think we've
Give it
had
a
that one
score.
twice on the show there, Bill.
Yeah, so give it a quick rating.
And the rating's up to 5, right?
Yep, 1 to 5
Exactly.
pints.
Boy, I'm giving it a 4.2.
All right.
Very good rating.
Does
Really
it taste like
solid.
chocolate?
It's really creamy. It's almost, I hate to say it's like chocolate milk, but it's very even and smooth. And
Yeah.
I can taste some vanilla in there, I think, and maybe even a little bit of cherry. It's really good.
That's good.
All right. Well, I'll go with mine. This is good. Like, as soon as I poured it out of the bottle, I smelled it. Like, just smells good. And for something that's 14.4, it's definitely like strong, and it's got a little bit of a liqueur taste to it, but it's still pretty smooth. Some of these can be sickeningly sweet.
Yeah.
The stouts the imperial stouts, and because it's a bourbon stout, it doesn't have that same like rushed imperial. So I'm going to give this, I don't think it's quite a 5, but I'm going to give it a 4.8.
Wow.
Right up there.
Man,
I don't
getting a
know
little
what
close there.
It is, but it sounds good. 4.8.
Yeah, that's good. All right, Jonathan.
I'm going to give this one this one, I'll probably give it a 4.6, just under you, Sean. This is really good for a 12%. Normally those 12% get a little too sweet, but this one is this
A
one's
brown
not too
ale.
bad.
That's pretty stout. That's pretty I was gonna say stout, but that wouldn't be the right word. That's pretty strong for a brown ale. 12%
Yeah, it is
for sure. So David, your candy drink there is
my candy drink. I'm gonna go 4.6. I like the 4.6 number. I'm gonna go with that on that one. I like the fact that it smells good, like you said. like I like the smell of. I love black licorice. It
Oh, yeah.
smells really good. I can actually drink it. I mean, it's strong, but it's like it's drinkable. I don't feel like I'm set on fire, you know. And it's got a great taste.
Yep.
Now, like I said, I put it with root beer because I love root beer, and that is money. I've done that, but I haven't tested anything else. I have no idea if anything will go with this, but it is good by itself, which I appreciate. So,
What is it? Goldschlager that tastes like licorice as well. It's got the gold flakes in it, and it tastes like licorice.
I hadn't had that in 100 years. That's a good
Yeah.
question. I need to go try some next time.
Yeah.
It's been since college since I had that. I remember going to a party and Goldschlager.
Yeah, you usually put that in the fridge or the freezer too.
Oh, dude.
So try
You know
that in the
what's so good?
freezer.
Crown. When I started dating my wife, 100 years ago, like her parents put Crown Royal like in the freezer, and I'd never even heard anybody doing that or anything like that. And it's totally different. And it's like, man, take my money. It was good. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you gotta have your kids selling snow cones out on the curb there to your neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah. Money.
Doesn't Jaeger also have a black licorice taste to it?
I think so. Jaeger's got all kinds of stuff going on for sure. But-
You're bringing up bad memories there, Bill.
I was like,
dangerous.
college.
Dangerous. So so let's jump into some like past episodes, but I want to ask Bill too. Like, Bill, what's been going on in your world and
Yeah.
in the world of persuasion for you? I know you've got some new stuff cooking, and love to hear about that too.
Yeah, well, the new stuff I have cooking is like everyone else. I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole with AI and Chat GPT a little bit.
Yep.
And at first, I really kind of snubbed my nose at it because after playing around with it a little bit, I can see that it really doesn't produce copy that I could produce. But I think I sold it short because then I started using it for pieces of things,
Mhm.
and I found it was really good for that.
Yeah.
Whether it's subject lines or let's say you're writing a book and you need some catchy chapter titles. And I just found the more you just sort of talk to it, the more you could kind of refine your results. Now, for whether it could crank out a full-on sales page, I know it can do that. And I know it can do it in a very grammatically correct way, but it's going to be good and serviceable. But the kind of copy that I like to write has more personality to it.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure how useful it's going to be but I'm kind of looking into it because my crowd really would like to churn out some copy faster, and I think it's got some really good uses for that.
Bill, let's talk about the titles. I'm finishing a book, and I'm tweaking some subtitles, and so I did that the other day. I had a buddy put it in Chat GPT, and it was pretty good. I gave him I said write 10 subtitles for this book, and based off this one subtitle, and it was pretty good. It at least prompted me some more ideas, and I ended up tweaking it. I didn't use what they had, but I ended up tweaking my final subtitle.
Yeah, and I found that you can get it to tweak it. Like you could, let's say you weren't quite happy with those subtitles, you could say, make them punchier, make them sexier, make them more blank, and it will come back and give it the old college try, and does pretty well.
Well, kind of in your wheelhouse, Bill. I was playing around with some stuff, and talk about either writing a book or even the way you write emails. I asked it to create some like fable type stories for me, and I kind of gave it some parameters what I wanted the lesson to be. I said create a 500-word story, with characters and a fable format to come up with this point that you want to make it the moral of the story. And it actually did pretty good. Like it gave you something to work with. You could probably spice it up a little bit here and there, but yeah, definitely just spit out a whole story, that's kind of unique, not completely unique. You can see a couple of ones I did, you kind of recognize from like famous stories online and things like that, but it was unique enough and a little bit of a twist that it made for, you could use it as you're writing a book. If you need an illustration, it could come up with an illustration for you. So it's pretty cool.
I've played around a little bit with trying to get it to tell stories. The stories again seem to come out a little bit stilted and generic, but it definitely knows what the structure of a story is supposed to be. So if you kind of give it more instructions about a certain segment of the story,
Yeah.
like say the transition or the resolution or whatever, it'll kind of work with you and give it a try.
Yeah, I've prompted it to say, hey, in 3-act format or in this, man versus man format or whatever,
Oh wow.
and it'll come up with some pretty cool stuff.
So my understanding is the Chat GPT 4 comes out next month. I think it's just a few weeks away, and that's going to be
Well,
that should be interesting.
Not only
they're
that,
saying this is like 10 times.
the more than 10 times. The analogy I heard was, if right now the base of information it's drawing from now is a quarter, that the next iteration that's coming out, you're saying in a month or so, I didn't know it was that soon, it's going to be drawing from the size of a basketball, from a quarter to a basketball. So imagine the increase in sophistication it might have based on that alone. That's pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been saying spring, so it's about perfect timing. I mean, whoever their PR person is must. I mean, because the PR has died a little bit from December, January, and it's starting. You don't hear as much about it, so that'd be perfect timing if they brought it out.
They took our
next
job.
month.
Hey, did you ever see South Park episode about where it says they took our job? Like, feel like my job is leaving now. It's like, God.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's crazy because now there's all these industries that are already popping up around AI.
Sure.
Prompt courses, prompt, services, memberships on, how to use AI.
That's right.
All this kind of stuff. So it's going to be just like apps, everybody thought apps were going to, ruin everybody's jobs, but then they ended up creating a whole, ecosystem for jobs and creativity and everything else. And I think AI is going to do the same thing. It'll, if you know how to use it.
Well, the new versions, from what I'm hearing, has video. I mean, you're going to be able to create video.
Really?
Yes.
Oof.
That's going to change things big time. I mean,
well, there's already some there's some softwares out there that are already doing that, where you can put in. Actually, I saw this on AppSumo, your buddy David. And one of the things was you just give it text and it would recreate a video, like one of those motivational university type YouTube videos. You give it whatever text you want, it'll find all the slides, the voice and everything, and put it all together. You just enter text. So you could take, a poem that you write, or you could take anything that you write, throw it in there, and it'll create a video for you. So you could have instant, YouTube content, create a YouTube channel just out of your blog post if you wanted to, for instance.
But what's in the video? Is it still shots, or is it a live video? Or?
It's both. It's both fading video of, still shots in and videos and
text overlays.
Yep. And it's basically using the keyword of, each sentence or so. That it's still not perfect, but the fact that it can even get close is pretty amazing. And as this next generation of AI comes out, that kind of stuff's going to be everywhere. So yeah, we're definitely going to be taking some jobs. But
a lot of people grumbling out there. I can hear
you just got to embrace it. That's for sure.
Right.
I'm submitting application at Publix.
Still need greeters.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So Bill, Sean and I, we've been having this conversation.
Your lawnmower guy, your landscape crew's there.
Yeah. That's my new landscape crew, called My Own Teenagers, out there cutting the grass.
Oh.
They're supposed to be doing this tomorrow, but they jumped a day ahead. So
time to let them go.
But no, we've been talking, copywriters out there, what's your take on this? Because like Sean said, I think it's opportunities. I certainly don't think it's going to kill copywriters out there, the good copywriters. I think you can utilize this stuff to your benefit. I mean, what's your take on it?
No, I agree with that. If you're a low level copywriter, then you might have some reason to be concerned. It's just another reason to not only learn copywriting, but to learn about how funnels work, how to increase conversion points at different parts of the funnel, become more than just a copywriter.
Yeah.
I think for, like paralegals and attorneys, those kind of real templated contract forms, things that can be churned out, maybe teachers with lesson plans, maybe the people that prepare those are in bigger danger. I think with copywriting, right now it'll churn out it sounds, can't we all tell? It sounds like AI. I've seen it put out stuff. It sounds like you're reading AI. And I think if so many people start using these tools, it's gonna separate. The public's gonna get savvy to the voice of AI. And I think for a higher level copywriter like myself, who has kind of a unique voice and can write in the voice of a client with a little bit of personality, it's going to be a while before AI can, I'm not going to say it can never do that, but right now it can't, and I doubt it could for at least a few years.
Right.
Another analogy I heard is that, it's almost like, think of an orchestra. It's, instead of becoming the violin player, you might become the conductor who conducts the various pieces of the orchestra. That's what you're becoming. So maybe instead of just the single hired gun, you're the guy that orchestrates things using the technology. So like Sean said, it's just going to morph into something else. You got to kind of roll with it. So, but yeah, if you're just getting started in copywriting and you're just churning out basic direct response sales letters, and you're selling to companies that don't have huge budgets, that might be better off starting with ChatGPT and then just cleaning it up, that might be a cause for concern.
Sure. Yeah. From another angle of that, I was going to mention book writing, and I bring that up because, David, you're publishing a book right now. You're getting ready to launch a book. And I know that you haven't incorporated, a lot of GPT. You've done a lot of it through interviews and things like that. But I mean, to me, that's another opportunity, because I think I was just hearing this past week on the news, like, I forgot how many copies of books now are on Amazon that are actually authored by AI.
That doesn't shock me, because I'm in some KDP Amazon published Facebook groups, and some people, I'm getting the vibe. Some people, they've done these low content journals and different things, and like, I think some people have tried to do these books, and I'm sure there's some people making money from that, but like, it's just people trying to not cheat the system, but cheat the system. Like, cheat the system, meaning like not being unique or something different or whatever. And it's just like, all right, cool, I'll throw it out there and kind of get rich quick or whatever. But I don't know. For me, like, I'm doing a book. It's called Short Term in the Smokies. And so it's about the Smoky Mountains by Short-Term Rentals. It's the only book published on Amazon just for the Smoky Mountains. So I feel like that's it, and I'm doing interviews with people. And so I think that is really unique or whatever on that. But also I could use Chat GPT for Gatlinburg facts if I wanted to, if it made sense or whatever. But I think mine is just, and I'm not trying to Kool-Aid drink. If I was behind the barrel, I'm like, oh crap, Chat GPT got me or whatever. Like, but I feel like mine is unique of doing the interviews with people that actually own rental homes in the Smokies, and they're 15 interviews or whatever. But so I feel like I'm, protected, thank God. But I haven't really, I don't know. For my
it's kind of hard for AI to simulate something like that. I mean, this is interviews with people that actually own properties. Right?
Yeah. And then I did one insurance agent in there and asked them about short-term rental insurance, because that's what they need. So I interviewed him. Again, that's unique. I know probably Chat GPT could do something on like short-term rental insurance, but like I would still have to fact check it. I have to hire somebody. So I just like, all right, let me just hire the insurance agent. That's an expert.
Sure.
Yes, who lives in the Smokies, lives in Maryville. Yeah.
But think about, even if you're writing the most unique book, think about if there's thousands of new books getting on Amazon every week or month or day. I mean, are we talking about a race to the bottom here? Like, how are you going to be found? I know in the SEO world, let's say you're a blog and you're putting out 10 quality articles a month, and all of a sudden you can start putting out 100 to 200 per day. What's that going to do to SEO ranking? Google has to somehow figure out, how do we detect what's AI, and how are we going to reward or penalize people that are using AI? I mean,
it's a can of worms for sure.
I think going deep, and here's my thought on that. I think going deep in a niche. So the book is only like the ball launcher of a pinball machine to me.
Mhm.
Like I call it pinball marketing is what I do. And so I view it like I've got this book, and just like in a pinball machine, you do the ball launcher and it launches, and then they start bouncing around the different stuff. For me, I have bounce back offers in my books that bounce people to get them off the internet, to book a phone call with people, bounce them to the free Facebook group, which asks them questions prior to joining. Hey, did you buy the book Short-Term Rentals in the Smokies? You know, did you download this free consumer awareness guide on hiring a property manager? And so you bounce people around like a pinball machine, or like a pinball, in a good way. And, you know, they want to get value. And I think the takeaway though is going deep in the niche and just own it. So being a gorilla stomping in a mud puddle in there. So I'm like, all right, the Smokies is the playground and is the box. How can I be everywhere? Like as Jay Abraham talks about, you know, omnipresent. That I think that will separate if there's other books that come out. Technically, my competition is any short-term rental book, really. You know, like how to start an Airbnb business. That's really, you know, but I niche it to Smokies because 13 million people visited last year and stuff. So bigger than the Grand Canyon. We just found out. And so, but I think just being a lot of people, 80-20 rule, 90-10 rule, people aren't going deep in things or whatever. So I think just staying in that space or whatever will definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other question people are asking about, you know, showing up online and things like that is if more and more people adopt something like ChatGPT to communicate and research with, what's going to happen to typical, you know, SEO that we've known for the first 25 years of the internet, right? Because now people don't really need to read blogs if they can go to, or if they think they can go to AI,
sure,
which will just, and that's already happening. Like a lot of people are actually searching in Chat GPT instead of Google, and Bing has already integrated AI into their chat, into their browser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so it pulls up very differently than what you get on Google right now.
And not only that, it calls into question what will happen to Google itself. How are they not freaking out right now? And then think of the implications when you go. I mean, who would have guessed? Just like I've always thought, okay, everyone's got a smartphone. Like, what's going to replace the smartphone? But I never really thought what could replace Google, because you think, well, what could? It's not in our imagination. But now we have ChatGPT, and think about it. You're getting one result, and think of the power that is.
Yeah.
You know, and so some searches you'll probably never want to use ChatGPT for, because you do want to go through several links. Yeah. But for certain ChatGPT searches where you get that one reply, you know, just imagine. I don't know. I just wonder how the search model is gonna change if you're only limited to one result. And in some cases that might work. Like, give me a recipe to make chocolate brownie. Yeah. But if you're talking about what's the best blank, well, ChatGPT has to make some kind of value judgment, and what's the criteria for that?
Yeah, but I think you're right. Some people want a second opinion, right? They don't just want one perspective. They want to be able to see multiple perspectives.
Not only that, but ChatGPT at this point seems to write in a very authoritative voice, like this is the way it is. And I've already heard enough reports that it's drawing on the internet, so it's drawing on a lot of factual errors. Like I saw one result that said, well, Hillary Clinton was the 45th president of the United States. It's in very factual terms, when in fact she lost the election. So, you know, I maybe this new version that's coming out next month or whenever it is will kind of clean up those sort of things. But you know,
well, I mean, think about
kind
it.
Kind of like the Wikipedia now of AI.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's this vicious loop, right? It's if people are using AI to write, and then AI is reading what people wrote on the internet using AI, it's just going to be reading itself, you know, and just basically it reminds me of like all we're going to have is like article spinners, which to be fair, the first 10 results on Google are basically the same thing written by different people who are just trying to get to the first, you know, entry on Google. So it's not a lot different from that, because, you know, I do a lot of research in like the health space and things like that. And, I'll research a supplement like magnesium, and Healthline always comes up first. But then there's like 6 other people that the article is within, it's 90% the same article.
Yeah.
They might add one extra thing or one extra picture or, one extra point or something like that. So I think there's going to be more and more of that, which is the opposite of what the average user wants. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that. Like, how do you keep from just getting the same stuff sent to you over and over, which was the problem for Google already. But, Bill, to your point, like, it's kind of like the Kodak thing, right? Kodak missed the digital camera, even though they had the patent on it. They had a digital camera, and they're like, no big deal.
How did they do that?
That'll never take out.
That wasn't one decision. That was multiple grown adults.
Yeah.
How did, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
but it happens in there's case study after case study throughout history of that. And, Google got so big that they missed AI, and now they're behind the ball because OpenAI is obviously cornered the market on it, at least for now.
Right.
I think a lot of people think they are the next, or maybe the first $1 trillion company based on all the things they've got going on besides Chat GPT. So it'll be interesting to see how do we, I guess the question for this show is, how do you stand out with this?
Yeah. And I think Bill had a good point, is the personalization, being able to share your own, Bill, you're really good at sharing your own stories. I know, David, you do a lot of that. You tell stories. I mean, AI can't replicate what happens in our own lives that we share. So I think that's one of the
Bill, you wrote a great email last week about your trip to Starbucks, I think it was. I don't know how long ago that actually happened, but the email came out last week, I think.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of stuff. That's the uniqueness that I think people are going to have to learn to share. And I know good writers already do that. The Jeff Goings, the Mark Hansons, those kind of people. That's what they do. Bill, that's what you do in your emails. So I think that's how you're going to have to stand out going forward, or David, like you're doing with the interviews and things like that. Yeah. You got to find that one angle that only you see of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great line. Only the way you see it. I still think like most people are not engaged. They're only halfway engaged in things, I had a really cool lunch today with, there's a guy named, Tennessee Ernie Ford. He used to be like almost like the Ryan Seacrest back in the 50s and 60s. I had lunch with his son today at J. Alexander's, and he's a voiceover artist too. And
does he talk like this? Does he talk
dude,
like
he's
this?
got 10 of those voices right there. Like, he knows the guy that does Optimus Prime.
Oh wow, that guy, Peter Cullen.
Yes, he's on auditions with that guy, and
that guy's got an amazing voice.
Nike and Harley Davidson, all that, and just nice dude. But he said it's funny. He hates when people do like fake Southern accents and things. But he's talking about as you get, better and better, that circle gets really small of who is actually in the game doing something. He's kind of at the top. If I sent you some audio reels that he sent me, it's like, I don't even know what to do with it. It's so insane. Like, his voices, he's so good at British and everything. And, but it's just like, because he's in the game, he's a student, they just like, then you become unique because you're actually like engaged in it and stuff. So, and it works for everything. And you've always had to have some uniqueness, you can't always say your worst enemy is white noise.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't, that's your worst enemy is white noise. There's just so much information now in general. It's like, my first job, just, ADA, attention, interest, desire, action. It's like, grab people's attention. That's what you got to do. Just snap them out of the coma they're walking around.
Pattern interruption. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, you got to interrupt that sequence.
Mm-hmm. And I think stories do that as well as anything. We've talked about that. Bill, that's your thing. Because when you open, was it your email today? Now, somebody's email I got today? I don't think it was yours, Bill. It was somebody's. The subject line was "I cried."
Good subject line.
And I was like, "Wow, that's good." And I had to read it. Like, I could not read it. don't even remember who it was now.
If you anchor that guy or gal, whoever it was, that name, why is Dean Jackson or whoever?
Yeah, it was a guy.
And
And that probably added to it. It was a guy, right, that I
Yeah.
follow. I've forgotten who it was at the moment, but
yeah, there's an attachment to it a little bit.
That was the subject line?
yeah, the subject line was "I cried." ...
Okay.
And
That's good.
then it went into a story. You know, the whole email was a story, and I was like, man, I actually replied back. I was like, that's a great subject line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it in my
Then you stole
subject
it.
line swipe file.
It reminds me of a subject line that I saw that it was, "If I die tomorrow, ...
Mm,
Dude,
Had opened
that's
that one.
good. That's
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, everybody wants to know that one
Yeah.
for sure.
Curiosity. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It really plays to the curiosity. So, it does make you wonder, like, can you prompt AI to come up with those kind of things? And I think you will on the next one.
mm-hmm.
Even this one you can. And Bill, to answer your question about like the stiffness, what I've seen, you know, John Benson did a webinar and he kind of came up with this system where he's using 3 different AI tools to write a sales page, like a full sales page.
Mm-hmm.
And he does one thing in one AI, another takes that, puts it into the next, takes that and puts it into the next. So he's got like this assembly line process, and it spits out like a really powerful, really well done, not A level, but probably B plus, A minus, you know, maybe copy for a sales page that would work in most niches most of the time, but it probably wouldn't work like at Agora for a financial newsletter, right? Or, you know, a tough niche like supplements,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think the example he created was for dog training or something, which is, you know, the bar is not as high there as it is for some of these tougher niches. And I think that's another thing. Knowing the niche you're in will let you know, and understanding that, how sophisticated that market is, will let you know what will work and what won't.
Right.
Like internet marketing, you're not going to get away with probably doing AI sales letters for the most part, right? Because that market is very sophisticated. They can spot copy, good copy, bad copy. But if you're in, you know, marriage counseling, they could probably get pretty close, you know, with a few good stories and a few tweaks, you could probably get it there.
Right.
Yeah. If you're in internet marketing, you almost need to openly mock the AI version
Exactly.
in your sales letter. Draw attention to it, very self-referential in a macro way.
That's where you like get AI to write something, and then you like post a screenshot of it. It's like, yeah, sure, you want to depend on AI. Here's what you get.
Exactly.
That sounds very Ben Settle-ish, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you make fun of it, make it the enemy. And a bumbling idiot enemy at that, you know?
That's right.
So yeah. Well, David, what do you have? Bill, I mean, you're free to come and go however you want. I don't know what you got going on. I know you got a life outside of this podcast, but I'm going to ask David a couple questions. He's long-winded, so if you need to run,
okay,
you can wave if you want to stick
beer
around
and enjoy the show.
All right, cool. So, David, I hear you writing a book about the Smokies. What else are you kind of up to and interested in around the world of sales, persuasion, marketing, all that stuff right now?
So I'm excited. Actually, today I got a buddy that owns a flooring business, and
that's exciting.
And
that is good copy. Let me write that down.
It's the simplest sales letter I wrote. So I've only done one direct mail piece ever, and it got a 15% response rate, but that was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And just haven't had, you know, the opportunity really to do one maybe for my own business or others. I don't really go out and get clients usually, like or through the past few years, whatever. And so I've got a buddy that has a flooring business, and I was like, hey, if you'll do what I tell you to do, then, and this is my idea, and I explained it to him, I will do this for free, and then you can pay me in the sales, whatever. I'm just doing it just because I enjoy the stuff, and then you can pay me a licensing fee if we want to do this other thing. So he lives in Spring Hill. I live in Thomas Station. Spring Hill is 2 miles away. There's 6 neighborhoods that have $500,000 homes or more. And this one, so we want to market to wealthy people. That's the only people we're marketing to. But there's this one neighborhood. It looked like about 250 homes in there. and he's done 34. He's made about $200,000 in that neighborhood doing flooring. He's done about 34 floors. All right.
Wow.
I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to send a sales letter out, and then I bought a burner phone at Walmart. I know there's other ways to do it, but I bought a burner phone, so we have a separate phone number that it goes to. Cost me like
Love those burner phones, man. Those are great.
Yeah,
there is an app for that, just so you know. There is an app for that. Line 2.
I know. There's a million ways, but I'm just like, go. And I just said, dude, like, I'm just gonna go to Walmart and get a phone and, you know, send me a Venmo or whatever. And
David just likes carrying 2 phones on his belt.
And a pager.
He loves that old school feel of flipping out that phone.
Yeah, right next to the fanny pack.
Wait 1 second. Like, you know. So yeah, I'm going to actually answer the phone. I was going to have it forwarded to him, but I'm going to answer the phone and take it and just see, because I want to track it. And so I'm excited about that. Very simple letter. I mean, like, headline is, have you thought about upgrading your flooring? ? Little
So the 9-word email. Yeah.
Yep. And then a picture of him and his beautiful wife right next to the headline. Caption is, my name's Javier and my wife, whatever her name was, and my family and I live in Spring Hill. So you got that local, like, hey, I'm right up the street from you, that type of thing. And then it just says, hey, I'm Javier, and I've done 34 homes in Autumn Ridge. I use Courier New Font and bolded certain things. So just as they're skimming, you know, Autumn Ridge, they'll see that 34 homes. I even worked in some good old boy copy. All my workers, there's no baby mama drama. There's no drugs or drinking. And
that's always good.
Yeah, because like that's what they expect.
That's the number one objection in that niche, the construction niche, is that.
Yeah, they don't call. They show up drunk. They show up all these things. So I said, look, there's baby mama drama, no drinking, no drugs. And I'd love to give you a free quote. And then, you know, it says, hey, by the way, if you see me in Publix, don't be shy. Like, say hi to me. Take care. God bless, whatever. P.S. Discounts are available, but I like to keep my guys local, but I fill up quick. So give me a call if you're even considering it. Then the back of it, there's a headline. The back of the sales letter, there's a headline that says, here's some examples of homes I've done in Autumn Ridge. And so, and then it shows pictures before and after of like 3 different jobs.
Sure. And
so, so that went out today in the mail. And then number 9 headline, blue ink, no return address. I'm trying that. I'm going to not do a return address. And so we just mailed 235-ish letters, and we'll see what happens. I mean, one job, if he gets one job, it might $10,000. $20,000.
Absolutely.
And then so if we do that, then we're also going to do a second notice, same letter, but I'm going to mark up a lot of red in the next one and put second notice on it in 2 weeks. And so we'll see what happens. And then, you know, then I'm going to go back to them and like write me a big check, you know, if we want to license that.
Great.
So I just did that today. And
what, you thinking about licensing that across the country?
I haven't even got there yet. I just was like, dude, like, write me a check afterwards, you know, if we want to hit all the other neighbors. Because that's not the only idea I have. But just that whole being a gorilla stomping in a mud puddle and that farming sales letter, I think could really work. But I have different ideas on it, too. In fact, actually, strategically, from a persuasion standpoint, here's what I'm doing, too. His best friend, so they'll go out in the middle of the day or tomorrow. I'm going to get his best friend who lives in the neighborhood. His name's Caesar. He owns like 5 taco restaurants around here. I'm going to get him to post in the neighborhood Facebook group like about Monday, because I'll probably get the letter on Monday. He's going to post in the group and just say, hey, if you thought about getting your flooring done, you should call my friend Caesar, whatever. Or my friend Javier, and here's some pictures. So imagine they see this in their neighborhood Facebook group. Oh, okay, cool, like whatever. And then they open the mail and there's a letter from Javier. So I hit them from 2 different angles, and one of them is an endorsement, and one of them has proof of Autumn Ridge, like, you know, that type of thing. So I feel like it'll work. I have no freaking idea. I told him, I said, I have no idea if it'll work, but if you'll try it, like I'll do it, and then we can figure out, afterwards if you want to keep doing it and that type of thing.
Yes.
Love it.
Back when I started my handyman business, like 2006, before I got into copyright, I was studying copywriting, but I wasn't, in it full time yet. I kind of did something similar. I did a flyer, same thing though. Put a picture of myself, clean cut, and that was my opening line. Hey, my name is Sean. I'm a clean cut.
That's good words. Clean cut, like handy type thing.
Yeah, I'm clean cut. Just going after the American dream of trying to take care of my family, things like that. I don't smoke, don't drink, and if you set an appointment with me, I promise to do everything I can to show up on time. That was like the opening 2 or 3 lines, because I knew my dad had a construction business, and that was always the biggest complaint. Because every time we were doing construction, like remodels, they'd be like, "Hey, can you fix the ceiling fan while you're here? Because we can't get anybody to show up for that."
Yeah.
Right? So it's like all the little projects nobody could get. And that's still true, probably more true now than ever.
We talk about it because all my friends on real estate, we have homes, and my friends have real homes. And so it's like, they all have baby mama drama. It's like there's a store where you can get handyman and contractors. So if you just be normal, show up in a polo shirt, not smoking and drinking, you're rich. You're basically
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I was charging, I was charging $50 to $100 an hour as a handyman with no license, no nothing, just because people just like, okay, can you? And I had a couple clients. They're like, "Can you come hang a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's a minimum," and they're like, "Oh, that's fine." It's like
the difference between a flathead and a Phillips head. I would I would be doing a handyman right now if I knew the difference between that.
Yeah, if I was 20 years younger, I might go back to it. You never know.
I don't know if it's a local plumber or not, or if they're nationwide, but their whole slogan is "We're the smell good plumbers."
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
that's great.
That being a pretty good selling point. We smell good.
Absolutely, no doubt, man.
I love it. Well, I would hope if this flooring thing works, Javier has like 5 crews. I didn't know he's that big. When I started talking to him, I was like, "Oh, dude, like, how do you even organize that?" I couldn't even imagine that. And I said, "Well, I want to do a handyman business if this works, and I think it will." But like, he only does flooring. That's all he does. But I'm like, dude, find somebody to do a handyman, put them on staff, and like, let's start a handyman business and just blow that thing up as well, because that's the next thing. Like you're saying, like, oh, you're doing this, but can you hang this picture? There's like 1,000. I mean, there's 450 homes in our wealthy neighborhood. Just just take your money. Just take their money. Like there. So
yeah, we should talk off the show. I've got a couple ideas for you can use, because I'm never going to use them, but yeah, like that. I'm doing a letter similar. I'm doing a 3-letter series for a doctor who deals with mild traumatic brain injury. So there's 2 classes. There's TBI, like they get major concussions, and then there's the mild, which is like kind of minor. It's kind of like soft tissue damage used to be, and right now very few people understand it, and this doctor knows about it. So we're sending out a letter to like 200 attorneys in his area to get them to use this as a new avenue for new cases, new stream of income, new clients.
Yeah.
Because there's like 2 million injuries a year that are what would be considered like the mild brain injury, but it still has real effects, confusion, all the things. They're just very, very hard to diagnose.
Yeah.
And this doctor does that. That's what he does. So yeah, it's like there's so many of these opportunities, and if you get a winning series, you could roll it out nationwide easily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Every town has like 6 flooring installers or tile guys or whatever that those letters would work for.
Yeah.
You sell it on an exclusive first come, first served basis, the license, and you've got,
that's right.
Now, I think there's so much lacking, and local marketing, like it's just so lacking, because it's like the best thing they do is like sponsorships and things. And I'm not against them, they're just lame a lot of times, and it's like, but people buy them for exposure, and ego, I guess. But it's like, man, there's just so much opportunity. I mean, a lot of these cats are not even using email still. I tell some of my local business friends, my restaurant friends, I got all kind of entrepreneur friends around here, and it's like they're still not emailing people. And I'm like, I mean,
send them the bill.
I know. Yeah.
I'm tempted. About last week, I was tempted. I'm like going to like, I'm thinking my friend Margaret right now that owns this I don't know, clothing boutique type thing for women. And she's the greatest personality. She's phenomenal. She's doing video,
Right.
stuff like that. But I'm like, I've said you should email your list and even write this, like quick question or checking in on you.
Yeah.
I call it my good old boy emails that I write that like get 50% open rates and stuff. And she's still not sending emails. Neither is my friend Frank from this restaurant I know. And I'm just like, man, you know,
People are, I mean, I coach people all the time, you know, coaches, other, you know, like health coaches, all these things. And I'm amazed how scared they are to send emails. Like and Bill, you probably see this all the time.
It's the number one roadblock people have. First of all, it's amazing to me that it's still dismissed after all these years. It's not going anywhere. But Sean, you identified the number one problem. People they're so afraid of bothering or annoying their list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The analogy I always use is, you get junk mail in your snail mail box all the time. Nobody thinks twice of it, but for some reason it freaks people out. Send an email that might get ignored. Like nobody dies of an email.
No.
and you're being so courteous by putting an unsubscribe link. There's no risk to you, but it just freaks people out for some reason.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Isn't that interesting on success? Like I know fear, like I have my own fears, like so, but like, you know, but it's just like stuff on some of these things. It's mind blowing. That's like that separates you from another level of success. You won't send an email, or you won't do a direct mail piece, or have an event or whatever, just for some fear, And it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm coaching these people, and they'll be like, "Well, how many emails should I send?" And I was like, "How many are you sending now?" They're like, "None." I'm like, well,
right.
Let's start with one a week. How about that?
One
or maybe one, just one time.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are so. I don't know.
Well, I think one of the issues is they think they don't have anything to share, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they
think they're having to promote. And I guess I was going to ask Bill a question and I think I probably asked you this, Bill, on a previous episode interview, but do you just record because we all have, daily interactions or things that happen to us that we could utilize in emails, but sometimes, for the most part, we just kind of go about our lives.
Yeah.
Without acknowledging that, hey, that's actually a pretty good, that's actually a pretty good interview or a pretty good email or a pretty good story to write. But we go about our life. I mean, do you record these everyday, activities that happen or something that stands out to you? Do you record that to utilize for an email?
I do. I have a whole process for it that's super simple. And
yeah.
The first thing I tell people is, you know what? 6 things probably happened to you today that would have made for a great email. You just need to have your radar attuned to it.
Yes.
So it could be as simple as a cashier was rude to you at the store, or she was super nice. She looked you in the eye and truly cared about the day you were having, like something as innocent as that would normally just fly over your head. Whether it's pulling out your phone and recording an Apple iPhone note, verbal note, or writing it down on a moleskin notebook you have, just whatever it is, at the end of the day, I keep a spreadsheet. Right. And in fact, I'm writing an email right now. This spreadsheet of email ideas is up to 672 rows because these are just things that occur to me.
Wow.
I'll never get to all of them. And all you need to write is like one line. One thing you can do at the end of the day, just take 5 minutes and go, what was the one story-worthy moment that I could write about at some point? Like something probably happened during your day. You saw something, you heard a comment, whatever it is. Yep. People don't realize that because they're just living in the, it's like the fish not knowing it's in water. That's just what they're doing.
Yeah. It reminds me of the quote. I just looked it up. That which is most personal is most universal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you can start and most people, that's what they're most scared to share is the most personal stuff. But that's in fact what is most universal, and
Absolutely.
most appealing to people.
Yeah.
100%.
David's really good at this I noticed, your Facebook posts a lot of times,
Yeah.
David, are very personal, but you know what? They're very engaging.
Oh, thank
And they're very, very persuasive. I mean, they kind of suck you in because it's like you're sharing.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
good.
those everyday stories.
It is. I will say it is real. I know what I'm doing. I'm conscious of what I'm doing because
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about attention.
Right.
But they are always real. I will say that. Just how a sausage is made. It's like no embellishment when I write it, but
Yeah.
I write it because it's just unique. And people are obsessed with people. I'm not saying people are obsessed with me, but everybody's got followers. Like all of us got followers to some extent or whatever.
People are obsessed with drama.
Drama. I was going to say
real.
that. Reality TV, like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the rubberneckers on the on the interstate. It's like, come on, what's holding up everything? And you drive by and it's like there's a wreck on the other side of the lane. It's like,
Yeah.
Do you remember
what's
that
going on?
Jonathan I came up with like 10 years ago? And I sold one of the ideas. Like I gave them to a girl that is super pretty famous right now, Adley. She got ridiculous views on Facebook, but how they sell cars and how they sell homes and all that stuff. Because I came up with those domain names, that concept, because the best-selling book of all time is the Bible. The best-selling magazine is People Magazine. The top shows are reality shows. And this is like 10 years ago when I came up, when I thought of this, but that tells you everything right there. And so if you just sell people, like one of the websites I have now is howtheylostweight.com.
Right.
And for people that lost 50 pounds or more. So it's to like obese people, and it's story sell, facts tell. We know that. And so just doing interviews of people, those are the top things or whatever. So, no, but I'm a curious person by nature. So I post all kind of stuff. I'm also going to post, I think today I'm going to post about, I heard somebody on Instagram yesterday talk about Beyonce and Jay-Z have a prenuptial and a post-nuptial agreement. And they're going over that like $1 million a year for 5 years, different things. But this lady called it marriage insurance. Now, I only know one person, one friend of mine actually has a prenup. Yeah. And I know it. I found out by accident. He told me one day, and I was like, dude, you're the only person I know. I might have other friends, but you're the only person I know that actually has a prenup. And I found it fascinating. But, prenup seems like, oh, my God, that's not like – but I'm like, the way they explained it, so I'm thinking about making a post where it's edgy. You're talking about prenup and like, dude, well, you don't love the person, you don't trust the person. But this lady described it as marriage insurance. And it was like, all right, that's an interesting topic. I'm not saying I agree with it. I don't know. But I'm like, this caught my attention. And the way it's framed, I'm like, that's not dumb. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm already married and everything. I'm not saying but that's an interesting. So I know it's edgy. I know it's a little edgy, and I'm also curious about it, so I will post about it. I haven't done it today, but it's in my back of my brain, kind of like you, Bill, talking about like something happened today. Yeah. So yesterday, one of the 6 things that happened was me on Instagram following this girl that mentioned it. I'm like, that's a good topic.
Yeah.
That's more fascinating than I tell people that, if you pulled a baby out of a burning building once, it's a great story, but nobody can relate to it.
Yes,
but you helped solve a drama on a flight from Denver to LA, and you and 4 of the guys put down some crazy guy, like some personal drama. Everybody can relate to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like a good comic, right? A good stand-up.
Yeah.
They notice the little ordinary everyday things and turn it into this huge,
Well, that's why Seinfeld was so popular.
Yeah.
It was a story. It was a show about nothing, right?
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
It was a comedy about nothing, everyday life.
Yeah. That
is that you, Bill, that does the Seinfeld emails, Bill? Do you do the Seinfeld emails, or is that somebody else?
I think that's somebody else.
Yeah, somebody actually coined that, like Seinfeld emails, where it's basically, like very what would seem like nothing emails.
Oh, that's a great idea, because a lot of my emails are like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ben Settle actually named that.
Is that who it is?
I like that. Talk about nothing. Like, no, I try. It's funny. I was telling somebody I got a buddy, David Criswell, that has really engaging posts. He has very engaging personality just in real life. And then he'll get a lot of, he'll get a lot of likes and engagement, and then he doesn't. And then some posts like kind of die. And I made a post today. You know how like when it's your birthday and it says, on my birthday, like I'm going to make a donation to such and such, that Facebook thing that pops up, like, where it's like, for my birthday this year, I want you to donate to St. Jude's or whatever.
Yeah.
So I made a post today about, for my birthday, which is in a few weeks, I would like you to make a donation to the David Dutton Center for kids that don't read good, want to do their stuff good. And Bill, by the way, I joke around. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA, just so you know. It's right there on my bio, so it's real. And that is real from Riverdale High School in 96. But I've written 9 books, and, I've built a multi-million-dollar company and all that stuff, whatever. But anyway, but I joke around about me having 1.9 GPA. It's very well known. And if I ever buy a fancy car, I will be putting it on my license plate, 1.9 GPA on that. But I own it, because, but I thought it would just kill. And I've been on here for an hour or so, but it's like, I thought it would just like laugh. But I got tons of likes.
Yeah.
Like a handful of laughs. But I'm like, dude, that is totally hilarious. From by the way, it's Zoolander. If y'all don't remember, it's from Zoolander, that line or whatever. But it's funny, human nature, humans are the wild card. You can do like, and I know comedy is subjective or whatever, but I have pretty engaging, like Jonathan said, I have a lot of people kind of engage in my stuff. But that one, I was like, tell my buddy Dave, my other buddy Dave, I was like, damn, like likes, why are you even liking? I don't even want your likes. It's like I thought this was like really funny, but it's like, dude, there's like and comments.
Yeah.
But everybody's different. Depends on what day you mail them, and post. Like Mondays and Fridays, people are really busy and that type of thing. So, but you just never know.
That's why we split test. I've given up trying to predict what people are going to react to. I'm so often wrong, and sometimes the emails that resonate most with people are the dumbest little observations I have.
Yeah.
I just wrote an email, and I don't mean to get back into ChatGPT, but instead of writing about the usefulness of ChatGPT, I wrote about the dynamic, how I kept talking back and forth to it. And I started using please and thank you, thinking that if I didn't please this robot somehow, it would either think I was rude and stop giving me good information. I got a flood of replies saying, I thought I was the only one.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That is really good.
Wow.
Everybody's thought that.
Does that work? Does that work being polite there, Bill?
Well, actually, it still gave back. It still gave back to me, good information. But I have found that the more brusque you are, the shorter you are with it, actually, the better, because the more words you insert there, it's taking that as information, and you want to be as clear as possible. And me and my wife are watching a show on Apple TV called Hello Tomorrow, where it's set in the 50s, but they're using AI and stuff. It's like it's set in the future and the past. And this one guy has a suitcase that follows him. It's a bot, and he just gives it very short commands, like follow me, give me this, give me that. And that's apparently what AI likes. So I found that with ChatGPT, I forced, because I'm a nice guy. I'm always saying please and thank you, appreciate that. This is great.
That's right.
So then I thought, well, let me give it to what it's want.
Well, you're just a courteous person, Bill. I mean,
that's right. So, but I decided to go the other way and see what happens. So I just said,
that's right.
Give me 10 more or more, make it punchier, make it sexier. And
so it's true what Zig Ziglar said, that timid people have skinny kids. I mean, that's still true to
I've got a new title for you, Bill. You're going to be the AI dominatrix.
I love it. That's great. Man, that's so funny, Bill. Like, these are thoughts. So I can't use ChatGPT. Like, I tried it, and then like they couldn't authenticate me, and then now you can't even talk to anybody. And so I'm just like, oh. So I think I got to like use it. I've just sent it some things to my buddy, like the subtitles of the day. I just texted like, dude, we throw that in the software and like send it back to me, whatever. Because it just, for some reason, I think I tried to use another email address or something. I don't even really know what I did. But I can't to like
you
blacklisted.
You couldn't pick out the 4 fire hydrants and the 8 photos.
Yeah. It was just like, so I haven't even got to use the thing. and everybody's talking about it, and it's just like, I'm just gonna send it to somebody. I don't know, but I thought about that because I caught myself like when I was gonna send it over to my buddy saying please, and I'm like, I hadn't told anybody this. You're the first person. I was the first person I told that, but it's like please, and I was like, it's a freaking computer, like
Right.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's very easy to start thinking of it that it might have some sentient qualities,
Yeah.
which we know intellectually it doesn't. I remember
Yeah.
being out to dinner with my niece and her boyfriend, and I felt really old because I pulled out my phone. We needed to know something. I said, Siri, blah, blah, blah. And he looked, and the boyfriend looks at me and goes, you know, you don't need to say Siri.
oh,
And I'm like, yeah, I guess I knew that, but I guess I'm kind of looking at the guy using Siri. And
dude, I did not know that too. I was today years old when I just learned that. I did not know. Wow, that's good.
Hey, we're all there, Bill. That's okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you do
wow.
persuasion. So I didn't get to know, like, Jonathan asked me to come on the show, and so I don't know much about you. So you do persuasion stuff?
Yeah, I teach people how to write story-based emails for their marketing.
Oh man, dude, I love to have a conversation sometime because
He's got a great course, Story Sales Machine.
oh
You should
wow,
check it out. I love
that's
it.
cool. How long you been doing this,
3 years now.
dude? That's
After writing for clients for about 20 years.
I still use Bill's content, like, I mean, because he's got some pre-done emails for you. So he's got some great stories that you can utilize and tweak in that course. So
Yeah,
I highly recommend it.
I would trade with you if you want to trade. If you want to trade, I'm gonna give it to you, so you have it for free.
Okay.
So we built an email list of 400,000 people in my last company. And then we had about 300 to 500,000. I'm sorry, 300 to 500 people a day download our book. And then I wrote 21 emails that basically built our company. 2 of the emails I call them money emails, and I even had them when people would reply to them. I had them in Gmail. They would forward to the folder money emails, and I trained my virtual assistant because I'm a freak about my time. I'm obsessed with it, and so I trained my assistant to write like me. And so that way I didn't even have to like do anything or whatever. I just said, hey, these are like what I'm wanting to accomplish on here. And so my top headline, and I've been doing this since 2007, saying this one headline, because I wrote a book called Get Connected like 2007. But quick question is one of my best headlines ever, lowercase. I get a 50% open rate usually. And my goal of that one was for them to dialogue like, did you get the book or something like that? I'm just trying to like good old boy, and it literally be like, Bill ... did you get the download for the book? ? Dave.
Mhm.
Actually, it was Michael, my partner. And then I would actually, after the E, I would scroll down like 50 times so they didn't think it was an autoresponder.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then that was like 3 days after, and maybe 2 weeks after, checking in on you, all lowercase, was another one that was like my only 2 emails were like my money emails. The other ones made us money, but those 2 emails were like, oh, this is not an autoresponder. This is like I'm actually talking to the celebrity. And then that one was like, hey Bill, checking in on you. Did you end up reading Replace Your Mortgage? ?
Yeah.
Michael, and then scroll down 50 times or whatever. So they didn't see powered by AWeber, or unsubscribe or anything like that.
Right.
But anyway, those 2 emails made me, tons of money or whatever. And I've been using them for
I believe it. One of the best subject lines that I know still pulls is just a simple word in lowercase hey.
Mhm.
What?
H-E-Y. Hey.
Wow.
You said the letter A?
No.
No,
Hey.
The word hey.
Oh,
H-E-Y. Hey.
Wow.
In the subject line?
In the subject line, that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
'Cause
You're nodding your head because I know that's true.
Well, that's what a friend would write to you, right?
Exactly.
Like if I had to email you, Bill or David or Jonathan,
Yeah.
like I would just be like, hey,
Hey.
real quick.
Yep.
And
Good stuff.
and you'd see, obviously that works better if it's from a friend, but it still works.
Yeah.
If they're attached to you, if there's some little, I'm following you a little bit, like I'm at least somewhat engaged, like if Dean Jackson, or somebody like I follow, like Jackson or somebody like that, that's non-friend, I could see that still working.
I'll tell you what, I think and I'm trying to figure out how to manufacture this, and you guys could probably help me figure it out. I've worked like personally with AWAI, you know, that's where I learned about copywriting. So I know the owners, the president, the vice president, a lot of people there. So when I get their emails and it's personalized, I can't not look at it because I actually know the people.
Right.
So like if you can figure out in your marketing sequence, in your onboarding sequence, how do you actually create like a one-to-one conversation? Any of those types of tricks, the personalization tricks, get multiplied big time. So like whether it's a quick 5-minute or 10-minute phone call, whether it's you reply directly to an email, anything like that, I think pays dividends for years on end.
Sure.
Because there's like, oh, he really does know who I am because we've talked.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like Bill back and forth. You and I email back and forth, you know, because we've met on the podcast. But now in email, if you personalize something, I'm like, is he talking to me or is this part of his email sequence? And I don't know for sure. So I have to open the email.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah. And
So-
here's a great technique for that. And, you know, everybody knows about using personalization in the subject line. Like, you know, you can program, you put a certain code and it'll say, Jonathan, this is for you. But what's less used is putting it in the body, like 4 or 5 paragraphs deep. And you just put comma, first name. And when you see your name pop out in the body of an email, it really feels like that person's talking to you. That's less used. And it can be pretty attention getting, you know, and there's a line too. You don't want to, you know, look like somebody who's kind of abusing the, like trying to trick people.
Yeah.
But
if you write to one person, if you know, like the avatar, I'll have to go shortly, whatever, my phone's about to die. But they, you know, if you write you know, what we all know is writing to one person. Like when we wrote to those 400,000 people, it was like, we wrote to that 35 to 54-year-old male, you know, and then I think having that in mind when you write it, I think that really helps with what you're saying, Bill. Yep. I would use personalization more. I would do the typical, hey, Bill, blah, 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 whatever. And it might be a little bit longer email, but I didn't use it. I haven't used email like that in the body as much, the personalization as much as I should have.
Yeah, I never use it at the beginning because everybody does that. And I assume everybody, at least in the internet marketing crowd, they all know that's a bot talking.
Sure.
It's not sincere. I also never use dear friend because I don't say that to people.
Right.
You know, so I just kind of launch right into it.
Right.
But,
another one also in the subject line is using them in different ways, like at the end or something of a subject line, like and not necessarily like, I'm trying to think of one at the end, but like of course I've been drinking my 100 proof over here, and so but like Bill finally learns how to write copy or something, you know, like the benefit, you know, like the name plus the benefit. You know, it can be cheesy too. You got to like really think about it. Don't do a dumb headline, but like, I think using stuff like that, I wish I had my,
I think like, you know, Bill, I've seen you, I think you do something like this. It's like near the end when you're kind of wrapping up and you're kind of closing. That's a great place to use it. It's like, anyway, David, what I was, you know, I just wanted to let you know about this technique and share it with you because, you know, I appreciate you being a follower and a reader.
Yeah.
Like, it really jumps out right there.
Yeah. Or something like, or maybe even you, David, like you just really make it so that it seems like, whoa, he's really talking to me.
Yeah. It works really well in the close because then they remember it at the end, right? It's like, what's the old saying? Like people don't remember what, they remember how you make them feel, not necessarily what you told them.
Yeah.
And they feel seen if you do it at the end. At the beginning, it's a tactic.
Yes.
And in the subject line, it feels like it's, you know, it could go either way depending on the relationship and the subject line. Definitely the dear whatever, or, you know, in the beginning, it kind of feel planted there. But at the end, like you said, Bill, so few people use it. At the end, it really like, it's a shock when you get to the end and you see your name.
Right.
That is really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you guys, let me ask real quick, because we're way over time. We'll split this up into 2. I guess this will be episode 300 and 301.
That's right. We'll get the maximum value out of this episode.
Yeah,
2 episodes.
I don't even know if you guys are regular listeners, so I could be shooting myself in the foot. But do you guys have a favorite? Well, let me not say favorite episode. What's your favorite persuasion tip?
Yeah. There you go.
David, I'll let you go first. If you could give people a billboard, I can't remember who does this, but if you could give a billboard with one message on it and as a persuasion message, what would
persuasion influence?
Yeah.
Dude, this is what a great freaking question. I love the question. I've never thought about it like that. I'm thinking about my J. Abraham book as getting everything.
Dude, I thought you'd be referencing Cialdini.
Well, I processing the question. I legit think that's a good question. I would go. All right, I know what my answer is now. It just hit me. It is, and it's authority. The whole chapter. It's the only reason why I write books is because of authority and how people view me different for writing books. Hands down, that is like if a gun to my head and I had to perform, I'm going with authority. Because we're always trying to find back like in the caveman days, oh, that cat is like killing all the animals. I'm going to follow that cat. Like he knows how to do things. He's a leader now. And so that's that authority. So that is just highly persuasive.
I knew you would go authority, David.
I mean,
absolutely knew you would go authority.
I mean, dude, Bill, by the way, side note, I wrote my first book at 26. Yep. And so it was like because of a guy named David Fry, like big time marketer and good friend of mine today. But he worked for Arthur. Can I tell the story real quick?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I doubt it, but you
David Fry.
I doubt you can tell it quick, but you can try.
All right, I'm gonna tell you real quick. All right, one quick.
It's worth it to hear about David Fry. Yeah.
Arthur Anderson, the big old consulting company that ended up, going down or whatever. He would sell like $50,000 consulting. He would bring on a guy that worked with him sometimes, but sold something different. And he would sit down with a client and they weren't sure they're going to close the deal. And he said, this guy would, towards the end of the meeting, would reach down his briefcase, open a book, pull out a book, open it, sign it, slide it over to the client and say, look, I know you aren't ready to do something today, but here's a book I wrote on the topic. That right there, he said, David Fry said, I would watch the Dog and Pony Show. I remember that's what he called it when I was like 26 years old. He called it the Dog and Pony Show. He said, I watch it and you could see the prospects just melt. And some of them would click over and buy and, buy the consulting. And that and Chicken Soup for the Soul are the two things that got me to write a book. And of course, that led me to where I am today is writing, books or whatever. So what about you, Bill?
Well, I do like the authority one. I mean, adjacent to that would be proof. I mean, it's all about proof when you get down to it, but that's kind of too easy. So the one, if I had to put on a billboard, something I actually wrote an email about this once, and it works really well in personal encounters. So not just persuasion and copy. It probably works less well in copy, but a phrase that I use a lot or a philosophy is I like making it easy for people to say no. It just puts them in a relaxed state. And the email I wrote once was about, they did some study where they had people approach people in a mall for some charity, and they did it the traditional way. And then the second way they did it was, you'll probably say no to this, but, and then they went on with their thing. And the people that heard that phrase first converted at a higher rate because it would put them at ease. And I like that. So if I'm not sure if I know somebody wants to come to a party I'm inviting them to, I like to make it easy for people to say no.
Yeah.
If they don't take you up on that, they're going to be open to offers down the road because you're not high pressure. And that just kind of fits my style. And
that's so funny you say that. I don't know if my wife's listening right now or not, but that's like the technique I use on her. So I'm like, you're probably not going to like this, and then I go into it, and sure enough, it's like, I think letting people off the hook early. It's so counterintuitive, but it's also so effective because it gives them the power back, or it feels like it gives them the power back. And that's what that's one of the biggest cravings of
Oh,
human
man.
nature is to have control and
Absolutely.
power. And
Absolutely.
Yes, that just puts them at ease. They don't feel like they're being sold. And if they say yes, it's coming from their own volition, not because they got hammer locked into it.
There
Yeah.
is a great example, Sean, that we need to probably discuss on a future episode. You know, a book I'm reading right now called Just Listen. Fantastic. Great. There's a whole chapter dedicated to that, letting people out off the hook. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I think today when there's, so much pressure to, to do this for other people or, because whatever, like to let people off the hook is so refreshing.
absolutely.
And it instantly tears down the wall. So that's a great reminder, Bill. I appreciate that.
Yep.
It's
Thanks,
also,
guys.
it's also coming from a place of strength. I know you got to go, but
Yeah,
it also shows how strong you are in your offer.
Exactly. Yeah, it works on a lot of levels, right? It's like, oh, this guy's secure, or this gal is secure. They don't need the. I had a coach tell me one time
they don't need your buy-in.
Yeah,
absolutely. They don't have to have your buy-in. They're good.
Yeah.
So
I had a coach tell me one time, you don't need any given client.
Yeah.
You need clients, but you don't need any given client. Like,
absolutely.
right? Like, it could be the next one, it could be whatever, but as soon as you think you need that client, that's when the commission breath starts and everything else.
Hey, what do we call that, David? The takeaway selling approach.
Yep. You don't answer his freaking phone. Like,
never answer your phone.
You can't do a takeaway on me, man. Like,
let it go to voicemail.
Yeah.
You'll get back with it.
Well, guys, this has been fun. I appreciate you guys joining us on our 300th episode. And 301 probably the way we split these up, but even though the banner's going across the bottom, I never stopped it. But yeah, so appreciate you guys having us on, or being on with us. Sorry, the 14% is kicking it.
Yeah, it gets pick up on you. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been fun. Why does that keep popping up?
I know. I don't know.
Maybe we're battling each other. Jonathan and I are battling each other on the controls.
So we got a nice comment from some listeners out there. So
that was good. Well, thank y'all.
Thanks, guys. It's been fun.
Great
discussion today.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Bill.
Yeah, same here, David. Take care.
Yeah, and honestly, this is how the show started, right? It was just me and Jonathan sitting around a table drinking, talking about marketing persuasion. So this is a great, if you're new to the show, this is a great example of kind of what the show is about and the origin story.
Yeah.
It's just talking shop about this stuff while having a good beverage. So
that's right.
Join us for the next few episodes. And Jonathan, I'll let you take us out.
Absolutely. All right, guys, you can find us on our 300th and 301 episode, probably more than likely, over at persuasionbythepike.com. You can find us on all of your streaming and podcast platforms, Stitcher Radio, iHeart, Spotify, every one of them.
Twitch.
We're there. Twitch. You're there. We're there. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. And we got guys like, David Dutton and Bill Mueller. So, guys, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure. It's always fun having you guys on. Bill Mueller, Story Sales Machine. We'll be posting some links where our listeners can find more. And David, I can't wait to read your upcoming book, man.
Well, if ChatGPT don't beat it,
absolutely. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you.
See ya.
Yep. That was good.
That's good stuff.